Hi, welcome to the Independence After Hours, where the show gets very sexy, and I'm here with 6 sexy lads that have narrowed themselves down to 4. Lost 2! It's Matt Welch, Camille Foster, the 2 of them, the Independents. They join me, touching games.
My phone.
And Michael Malice and Paul Mercurio. A couple of holdovers from the show. Oh, look at that man hair.
Man.
Ooh,
It's getting hot.
Is that Chuck the groundhog there? Did you have to build a Blasio, drop him down your shirt?
It went right down my shirt.
Yeah.
Nice puppy, nice. Shh, it's going to be okay.
I need an adult.
No, it's actually, and I make it gray. It could be, I actually dye it so some of it's gray.
Yeah, just for men, because Centrum Silver isn't enough of a giveaway. That's awesome. So you were a lawyer, which
Yes.
I didn't know until tonight. I actually thought that you were the actor in Strictly Ballroom.
No, I know. Please don't give me that. I had to change. Thank you very much for that. I had to change the spelling of my name because of that guy, Paul Mercurio.
Did you actually change the
You know how excited I was?
and then
disappointed.
And then I walked in.
Like, I love that guy.
I know. So the first time I got a part in a sitcom, you get to be in the union. And my manager said, we have a problem. What? You have somebody's in the union already with your name. I'm like, no way. When I left like law to be a comedian. My wife's like, my mother rather is like, you're not going to change it. I'm like, no, I like my name. There's a guy named Paul Mercurio, Mercurio, in Strictly Ballroom, Exit Eden, Australia, a dancer, really good dancer who was a choreographer on Strictly Ballroom, got in to be in front of the camera. So I had to change the spelling of my name, and for a while I wasn't. So people were Googling me, and they go to his site, and he's got, like, super tight pants, and you can see everything, and he's got a white tank top and a bottle of water, and then people would call me up and go, I didn't know you were doing gay porn. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, no, so I had to change the spelling of my name. But, yes, that guy is forever going to haunt me.
And now you're Mercurio with 3 X's.
Triple X.
That's how you
They call
do
me
it.
Triple X. But, yeah, I did this law thing. I was on Wall Street doing M&A deals, like whatever, and corporate law, and with no intention of doing anything in the entertainment business. Always liked comedy. I started writing jokes as a hobby, and I started to amass this like huge packet of jokes at work. And I got to see Jay Leno at a private function, and I go, what the heck? I'll just give him my jokes. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I go up to him after the thing, and I hand him this big, thick thing. And he goes, takes them, calls me the next day, read them all.
No way.
And said,
I hear he is obsessively consuming comedy.
yeah, he's
so that
all
doesn't
about
totally
the he's
surprise
all about the comedy. And he goes, I'll hire you to start sending in jokes in for the Tonight Show monologue because he can't use his nightclub act because he'll burn through his material. And he goes, by the way, what do you do for a living? I go, I'm a lawyer. He goes, I knew it. I go, why? He goes, your setups are way too long. You're too wordy. He goes, cut everything down by half. And then the next week, he called me again and did one of my jokes on the Tonight Show.
Wow.
Paid me $50 for this joke, and it blew my head off
What
my
a
shoulder.
tightwad.
Exactly.
$50.
So I went to his. I went to
go
his
to
house.
the movies by myself.
I keyed one of his classic cars when I went to L.A. for only giving me 50. And then that's how it started. And then I started. He told me to go out and try the jokes in clubs, and I started to live a secret double life.
Do you know Michael's really been to North Korea?
I know. I've been down to the village.
No one likes to show off.
What was it like?
It's going to another planet back in time.
Really?
So everything about there has been chosen consciously, and it's weird, and you look at the stores.
How do you actually get in? Do you have to go through China?
There's only one flight in and out every day. It's perfectly legal. In fact, when I got back at LaGuardia, they're like, how was your trip? I'm like, I was only okay. They're like, why only okay? I'm like, I was in North Korea. It goes, welcome back. Because they take your visa. They don't stamp your passport. They take your visa back. But the State Department knows you're there. It's legal. I recommend anyone who wants to go, because every
Is there
second
good food? Is there booze?
There's plenty of cheap booze. There's plenty of decent food.
You felt
not
safe?
For the
What do
people
they
there.
eat?
If I killed somebody, they don't eat anything, but they want our dollars because North Korea is the first communist country to default in their loans. So they're desperate for hard currency, and that's why they don't have electricity because they can't buy gasoline.
He would go into restaurants. He wrote a big feature for Reason, great magazine out there, about this. And like you go into, as the tourist, you go into the restaurants, a gigantic place, and you're the only person there, and they try to play it off like, yeah, we're, of course we have 10,
just had a bunch
15.
of people in here.
Well, I mean, we're glib about it, but they have to say that if they're talking to foreigners, because otherwise it comes across as criticizing the regime, and those people who are interacting with foreigners have to be very trusted. You have to be loyal to the regime to even step foot in Pyongyang. So I met a refugee, and she's like, ooh, what's it like? I've never been, but I hate those people because they think they're better than us.
Do you get the sense when you're talking to them that they're like sort of looking over their show, like blinking twice to like see if it's okay to talk?
They were raised in this culture. Everyone in North Korea once a week has to go through a criticism and self-criticism
Which
session.
is the most unusual
This
thing.
is
So tell me
once a
about
week.
this.
Okay, so everyone in the whole country, literally everyone, this has been going on for 40 years, everyone's in some organization, the communist women or laborers. You get together with your neighborhood group or your organization, and you have to get up and say, this is what I did bad this week, and then your neighbors have to get up and denounce what they've noticed you doing incorrectly this week. And this has been going on for 40 years.
That sounds like Scientology, actually.
Sounds
I'm
like
not
every
even lying.
Christmas at
But
my mother's house is what it sounds like.
it's easier.
Brutal.
You can leave Scientology. So, and the thing is, you have to
Yeah,
do
ask
this.
Paul Haggis.
Well, this is a question I've gotten. I have a very good friend named Rob Mons who made
Oh,
a
yeah,
film
Juche Strong,
called
yes.
Juche Strong. Yeah, and Rob's thesis, and I know it's not totally originally his, there's other folks who believe this as well, is that there is actually a tremendous amount of support for the regime in North Korea, and that people are not streaming out in droves, that there is a hint of the servile in all of us, and that for whatever the formula is, that they've tapped into this combination of sort of patriotic loyalty, racial purity, and exclusivism, and it's a potent combination and seems to be working to keep the regime propped
I'll
up.
just quote Kim Jong-il, where he said, it's very difficult to convince people of the virtues of socialism when they have an empty plate at hand. So they do not love the regime because they're hungry. It doesn't matter what you teach me in school. If I can't feed my kids, if I can't feed myself, I don't want to hear it. All the refugees revere Kim Il-sung, who was the founder, but Kim Jong-il is despised, and that's why you had all those
about
stories. Kim Jong-un, North Korea and Korea in general is a very patriarchal, respect your elder society.
But the average people don't go Kim Jong-un and just start laughing. I mean, literally, it's
Well, if
like
you get laughing, you get shot. But I mean, you're like a
No,
hostage.
he'll kill. I mean, he'll kill
But they
everyone.
have to know that it's a joke.
It's not a joke.
I
It's
mean,
a farce. It's which is a very different thing. So, you have every country has heresies. Every country has taboos. You can't go on TV and say drug use is fun or that the armed forces are murderers in this country.
Have you met any? Did you meet
Except in
any
this-
North Koreans that were separated from their family and now in South Korea, and how they feel about that?
I mean, I met a refugee. I was telling her about the book, and I had her in tears because all these stories only work if everyone in the country has learning disabilities. And Kim Jong-il shows up, and he's brilliant. Like, let's make this the tallest tower instead of the second tallest. And they're like, what a genius! Tears, tears, and applause. So, she was in kindergarten, and they teach the story where Kim Jong-il doesn't think 1, 1, or 2, because if you add 1 drop of water to another drop, you get 1 big drop, not 2 drops, therefore communism. And she's sitting there in class, and she's like, this is idiotic. But she knew at that age, smile and nod. I mean, we're taught that the smartest people in history were all localized in the 18th century in 3, bumblefuck colonies on the East Coast, if I can say that, sorry.
I think you
You've done
can.
it already.
So,
This is not Korea. You can say what you want.
well, it's getting there. So they know very early on what the taboos are. So they don't talk about the first family in North Korea. There's no White House. They gossip about it behind closed doors, but why bring it up? Because it can only have negative repercussions.
Yeah, they'll send you and 3 generations of your family to forced labor camps for life.
Well, not always for
sucks.
life. What's crazier is some of these, you're not told how long your term is, and some people are released from the camps. They're just sworn to secrecy. That's called the Yangoje. It's called the family purge. They take 3 generations. And since they take your whole family, you don't know who did something wrong to get you sent there. Because the whole family's picked up in the middle of the night.
Why don't they just take out one? They feel like if there's one bad apple, they're all bad in that family?
Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea, says that you have to exterminate class enemies to the 3rd generation. And that sign is over at all the concentration camps. They have it, carved
See, but
up.
that to me is a regime that's running scared. When you're that close,
This has been 70 years. They have nuclear weapons.
doesn't-
I mean, they say the
They're
same thing about
everything.
Cuba, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they're scared of what? I mean, if you have everyone spying on you and once a week you have to report on your neighbors, there's no way for people
but
to
the
collude.
regime like Cuba, I mean, they got to be looking around the world going, we're like the last holdouts of this sort of
Therefore, we're the
backward
best.
thinking.
We did it better than everybody else, right? That's the logic. But it's not backwards. They're progressive. We're the backwards U.S. imperialists,
Well, go to South Korea. You can't. I mean, it's so westernized now. You go there.
That's a problem for them because they said not 1 drop of ink shall be spilt in the Han River. So the fact that these Korean women are interbreeding with these disgusting U.S. imperialists that are hook-nosed and sunken eyes and potbellies is a sign to them that they're doing something right in the South or have lost their way and are soulless. No pun intended. I didn't even realize it.
The only places where this kind of stuff works, kind of to square that circle, is where there is actual nationalism. And
Yes.
Cuba had nationalism. It was a revolution that they believed in locally. All the satellite states in communist Eastern Europe, as soon as the Russians left, they were done with it all.
Right.
But if you have a true believing place, that's
And history. They have a long history of extreme nationalism. The U.S. sent a ship there, the USS General Sherman, in 1866, and they killed everyone on board and sank it to the bottom of the Taedong River, and they boast about it. It was illegal for any foreigner to step foot in Korea in the 19th century. So they are historically extremely xenophobic, and you even see that in South Korea to some extent.
Interesting. Well, and the Koreans and the Japanese
The Jap
can't
devils
stand each other.
Oh, they talk about that a lot.
I mean, in Japan, if you're Korean, that is lower than low. Like, you have to carry a special...
I asked somebody in an audience, like, if they were Japanese. The guy was Korean, and he was insulted that I said that to him. He was so angry.
Tell the jokes.
So when I was in North Korea, people think North Koreans don't have a sense of humor. They have a great sense of humor because when you're oppressed, like it's free and it's a way to have fun. So I took every racist joke I knew and I just replaced it with Japanese, and I was the funniest person in the country. It felt like being in America. So it's just like, how do you stop a Japanese guy from drowning? Take your foot off his neck. What do you call 100,000 Japanese men at the bottom of the ocean? A good start. And they're like, oh, you're killing me. You should be killing them.
I want to just state all of that was racist.
That's racist.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go to Korea and have a career there as a comedian doing racist stuff about Japanese then.
Well, no, you're not, because you have to give a job from the state, and it's based on your family background. So there's a caste system which has 51 layers based on what your family was doing in the 50s, and they don't tell you what it is, but it determines where you go to college and where you live. Oh. So the people who had the bad caste are in the Northeast, and when the famine hit in the 90s, they're like, we're just not going to send food there because those people aren't trustworthy.
See, that's a country that does not have income mobility, which we still have in this
correct.
country. So that's one area where we are better than North Korea.
I think we're better than in every area.
At least
Just,
one.
we'll start with one.
Area.
We just need one raindrop.
Yeah.
And then we're communists in the end. All right, well, Paul Mercurio, he's again performing in Fort Lauderdale. Go see him at
the Improv in Hollywood at the Hard Rock Cafe, February 6th through the 9th, Thursday through Sunday this week.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's nice down there. And there are some Koreans. There's probably a few Cubans.
No North Koreans.
No North Koreans. You never know.
But if they are there, you should take a copy of Michael's book, Dear Reader. Very funny, very good. The unauthorized autobiography of Kim Jong-il. I missed the glasses. Feeling that, thank you.
100% true.
Well, it's true as he quotes.
Well, it is true.
It's all from the source material.
That's great. All right, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, at midnight as well, 6 on the West Coast. From Matt, Camille, and Kennedy saying good night, sleepy night-night, goodbye.